even though it is a bit delayed, I think you will really enjoy this meeting now. The speaker for this evening is Mr. Franklin Joseph. He was holding high posts in Reserve Bank. He was general manager for Reserve Bank and all that, right? So after his retirement, he is doing God's ministry by helping the CSI hospital at Ronipet. He is helping them in the finance department. And when I asked him, he readily accepted to talk about finance to you. He's a very good finance manager. Wherever I go, I always take, we are a team. Raji also used to come, Franklin also used to come with us, and he always takes this one. And people enjoy and they ask a lot of questions after the meeting. So it is open. After the meeting, you can consult him. Whatever you want, you can consult him. And at the end of the meeting, we will give you his number. You can also phone up and talk to him. He's a very simple man, very, very simple man, right? So now I hand this over to Franklin. Rajiv.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I consider it a privilege to be blessed to be part of this fellowship. And I thank Soundar Anand and Mr. Madan Singh for the opportunity given to me to share this evening. Can I share my screen, please?
Yeah, you can share. Yeah, yes.
As mentioned, I will be talking to you on the basics of family finance. In the process, I will cover the general principles you would find useful. It's not because I was in the banking field or finance sector for about 40 years. I was with the Reserve Bank of India for 35 years and with the Union Bank for 5 years. It is not because of any theoretical knowledge, but by the grace of God, I could also share my own journey in this particular respect, because I come from a very poor family, a family of 4, and my parents could educate us only through borrowed money. I have gone to school even without a footwear, and my parents never had any movable or immovable assets. And it so happened my wife's parents also have no movable assets. But by the grace of God, we could help both the parents, both my parents as well as. Am I audible to everyone? Is it fine?
Yeah, fine.
Yes,
Okay.
uncle.
Fine, Raji, fine. Carry on.
I just wanted to check.
Raji,
Yeah,
நடுவுல கொஞ்சம் தமிழ் யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கோ என்ன?
I'll try. Okay, I'll definitely do that. So why I'm saying is, it's not just Etu Choraka that I will be talking only from theory or from my banking side. It is more of personal experience also, because God has blessed us. And for your information, my wife never worked. I was the sole breadwinner. And in spite of that, we could help both our parents, and we continue to help my wife's parents. To that extent, God has helped in the field of finance, maybe because of certain practices I adopted. And if I share through this presentation, it will surely help. And let me start by saying, managing money and making it work is for all. Usually missionaries and evangelists and pastors, they don't spend any time in understanding the principles of finance, the basic concepts of finance, which is not good actually. We should also know how to manage money. We all learned how to earn money. We teach our children also to earn money, but we don't teach them how to manage money. But as God's stewards, God expects us to give an account of what has been entrusted to us. And God has given us time. God has given us some knowledge for ties. And also he has given us certain resources, certain material resources and money. So we need to give an account. So it is not, we can be lazy about it. We need to be good money managers on behalf of God, because whatever entrusted to us, He is the owner and we are just money managers. So we need to be very careful. We send our children to schools, the best school and the college, so that they will acquire great degrees and get a job. But that is not enough, because once they start earning money, they pockets have holes and money will not stay. Another, it is not just earning money, but also how to manage the money they earn is more important. Today, if you see the rich people, not because they are highly qualified, they have learned how to use the money. So to earn and manage money, both are important. We need to give importance to both. And we also need to teach basics of finance to our children, because in school, whereas in European countries, Western countries, they have introduced finance as a subject in curriculum, basic financial literacy, but in India, so it becomes the responsibility of the parents to teach the basics of finance to the kids right from their childhood. It will help them a great deal. And in the case of finance, we should not have closed mind. Not important. I feel God has called me to do this, to be a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer. So finance is not my area. We should have an open mind, then only we can learn, and then we will know how to manage the money in a best possible way. So in case we do not have the knowledge of finance, I would suggest that you should be humble enough to ask the people who know a little bit, who are in the field of finance, before we do anything about investment, etc. For example, today people talk about fixed and floating rate of interest. நீங்க ஒரு பேங்க்ல போய் ஒரு லோன் எடுத்தீங்க, ஹவுசிங் லோன் எடுத்தீங்கன்னா நிச்சயமா மேனேஜர் கேட்பாரு, உங்களுக்கு ஃபிக்ஸ்ட் ரேட் வேணுமா, ஃப்ளோட்டிங் ரேட் வேணுமா? அதுக்கு வித்தியாசம் நமக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணும். அதே மாதிரி சிம்பிள் அண்ட் காம்பவுண்ட் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட். How far this compound interest make a difference in our investment? இதை பத்தி ஒரு பேசிக் ஐடியா. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி விஷயங்கள் நமக்கு எல்லாருக்குமே தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணும், நம்ம ஃபீல்டு எதுவா இருந்தாலும். நம்ம என்ன நினைக்கிறோம், ஃபைனான்சியல் பிளானிங், பட்ஜெட், இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப டெக்னிக்கல் சைடு, நமக்கு அதெல்லாம் வேண்டாம், மை ஃபீல்ட் இஸ் டிஃபரெண்ட், ஐ எம் அ சயின்ஸ் பர்சன் ஆர் அப்படி நம்ம நினைக்க வேண்டாம். இட் இஸ் ஃபார் எவ்ரி ஒன். ஃபைனான்சியல் பிளானிங் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் எஸ்டிமேட்டிங் அவர் ஃபைனான்சியல் நீட்ஸ் இன் ஃபியூச்சர். How our children grow up, their educational expense, their marriage expense, and the madri estimating the needs, and then we know how to find out ways of meeting those needs. That's the financial planning. Budget, it's nothing but a record of income and expenses, and to arrive at a surplus or deficit. So it will help us in financial planning, for which you can whole diary use pannalam. If you are good in computers, you can have an Excel app to use it, or even mobile. Nowadays we have very good apps to handle this money part, do the budgeting and planning. So உங்களுக்கு நான் முதல்ல சொல்ல வேண்டியது basic idea வந்து, you must keep detailed accounts of all your every day. My wife and I do it very faithfully for so many years. Whatever expenses, cash or through online or even through credit card or UPI payment, எல்லா எக்ஸ்பென்சஸும் ஒரு நாள் நீங்க போட்டு வச்சீங்கன்னா மந்த் எண்ட்ல you will know what are your total expenses, and it will also help you to see whether your expenses are within your income. And it is not at all boring. I find it quite interesting and useful. So if you have not been doing that, I suggest you do that. Just set aside 1 minute at the end of the day, and என்னெல்லாம் financial transactions, என்னெல்லாம் spend பண்ணீங்க, or even what are the commitments you have made, அதெல்லாம் நீங்க ஒரு ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கிட்டீங்கன்னா ஒரு ஹோல் டைரியில, it will help you in your financial planning. It will also help you to identify expenses which can be avoided or reduced. உங்க expenses are more than income, na you will go to money lender. If your income and expenses are same, it is fine. But in case you are able to keep your expenses lower than income, and if your income is more than expenses, definitely you are in a position to take your savings to the bank. Such a simple thing. We must keep this in mind. So what is the secret? Spend only what is left after saving. பொதுவா நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், எல்லாத்தையும் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டு மீதி ஏதாவது இருந்தா அதை தான் சேவ் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறோம். அப்படி கிடையாது. முதல்ல we should decide that I must save so much. Balance only is available for spending. This is what Warren Buffett also said. This we have to keep it in mind. So நீங்க முதல்ல you have to determine the percentage of your savings. ஒருவேளை if you are a salaried person, 12% provident fund, it's a compulsory saving. But அதுக்கு மேல if you are in a position to save, well and good, you can choose the percentage of saving. அதை சேவ் பண்ணி தனியா வச்சுட்டு மீதி இருக்கிற மணி தான் it is available for your expenditure. This is what you have to keep it in mind. And it's better you start early. As soon as you start earning, you must commit yourself to regular savings and investment. It should become your lifestyle. And essentials, needs, and wants. Essentials you cannot avoid. You have to spend money on that. Needs and wants it's a gray area. So we need to put our needs before our wants. And discretionary expenses, those expenses without which we can manage life. Appripata expenses should be kept low. Just because we have the money, we cannot spend as we like. And you bless your children by not pampering them. You must learn and you must know how to say no to your children right from their childhood, because it goes a long way for their children to understand that you cannot get by just asking in the world, because they have to face the hard reality of life. So it's better they learn to accept no from parents right from childhood. And our savings should be earning money for us. Remember, the Lord found fault with a lazy servant who hid the money on the ground. ஒரு பணத்தை வாங்கினவன் என்ன பண்ணா, மண்ணுக்குள்ள புதைச்சு வச்சுட்டு அதை அப்படியே கொண்டாந்து கொடுத்தான். அப்ப ஆண்டவர் என்ன சொன்னாரு, இதை பேங்க்ல போட்டிருந்தா அட்லீஸ்ட் உனக்கு இன்ட்ரெஸ்டாக வந்திருக்குமே. So the Lord expects us to be a little bit diligent about the way we handle our funds. இப்போ என்ன ஆயிருது, நம்ம டிரான்ஸ்ஃபர் ஆகும்போது we open a bank account in one place, then we are transferred to another place, we open another bank account, and in some places we have 2 accounts in the same city also. இது வந்து இன்னைக்கு கொஞ்சம் ஜாஸ்தி ஆயிடுச்சு. என்னன்னா, minimum balance they expect, and if you don't keep minimum balance, they will start deducting penalty. So you have to close the account before you leave to another place. And if you ask me, maximum of 3 bank accounts, maybe ஒரு அக்கௌண்ட்ல பென்ஷன் வரும், இன்னொரு அக்கௌண்ட் your day to day ATM-க்காக, ஒரு third account okay, but not definitely more than 3 bank accounts I would suggest. அப்புறம் இன்னொன்னு என்ன நம்ம மானிட்டர் பண்ணணும்னா, we should see how much balance is available in our savings account. Because savings accountல இன்னைக்கு வந்து இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் வந்து somewhere between 2.75 to 3% தான் பேங்க்ஸ் கொடுக்குறாங்க. ஒரு காலத்துல 4% கொடுத்தாங்க, அதை குறைச்சிட்டே வந்துட்டாங்க. இப்போ ஸ்டேட் பேங்க்லாம் போனீங்கன்னா சேவிங்ஸ் பேங்க்ல you get only 2.75 per annum, which is nothing at all. So what we should see, in case the balance in savings account is more than what we need in the next 20 days, you can open a fixed deposit for 1 month or 3 months or 9 months. You can open right from 7 days to 10 years. The tenor can be anything. So savings bank account balance konjama vachikittu you should be able to manage. And this is a must now. You must know how to operate net banking, and if possible a mobile app of the concerned bank also you must have. So using net banking or mobile app, நம்ம என்ன பண்ணலாம்னா, the moment you see that savings balance is more than what you need for the next 1 month, அப்படியே நீங்க you transfer to a small fixed deposit, 25,000 or 50,000 over 1 month, 2 months, because definitely that will earn interest more than the interest you earn in your savings account. எனக்கு திடீர்னு பணம் வேணும்னா என்ன பண்ணணும், நீங்க பயப்படலாம். இன்னும் பயப்பட வேண்டாம். இன்னைக்கு நெட் பேங்கிங்ல you can prematurely close the FD. ஒருவேளை நீங்க 3 months ஓபன் பண்றீங்க, பட் 1 monthலயே உங்களுக்கு அந்த பணம் வேணும் அப்படின்னா எங்கேயும் பேங்க்கு கூட போக வேண்டாம். Through net banking you can break that FD and the amount will be immediately transferred to your savings account. அந்த மாதிரி கன்வீனியன்ஸ் இருக்கிறனால we should not keep idle balances in the savings account. சரியா? அப்புறம் today what happens, if you go to State Bank or HDFC Bank, they offer the lowest interest rate on your term deposits, fixed deposits. But certain banks, certain other banks will offer a little bit more, 1% more, 1.5% more, and it matters to you. It is நம்ம அவ்வளவு 1% தானே அப்படின்னு நினைக்க கூடாது, because cumulatively நம்ம பார்க்கும்போது over a period of time it matters a lot. இன்னைக்கு ஸ்மால் ஃபைனான்ஸ் பேங்க்ஸ்னு வந்திருக்கு, நீங்க கூட பார்த்திருப்பீங்க போர்ட்ஸ். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் Equitas Bank, they have a headquarters in Mount Road, Chennai. It's a Tamil Nadu based bank. There is a bank called Ujjivan Bank, FinCare Bank. These are new banks which were opened in the last 5 years, called small finance banks. They offer about 1% interest more than the other banks. So if possible, I suggest you transfer, you open an account. If this branch is near your house, you open an account there and transfer some amount. Up to 5 lakhs, you can safely invest in any of the banks because it is guaranteed by the Reserve Bank of India. Up to 5 lakhs in the bank, நீங்க you can keep deposits. And this, for example, Equitas Bank offers about 1 to 1.5% more than interest rates offered by other banks. This also you can consider. Now, about the use of credit card. Many people are so afraid. They think credit card problem, fraud, they don't have credit card. They have only a ATM card or a debit card. Then a difference, ATM card, debit card, the moment you use it, your account is debited. The money goes from your account. But in the case of credit card, you pay at the end of 1 month. You keep using your credit card. You don't have to pay immediately. But you take a credit card, not for easy credit, but for convenience. Definitely, for Masatla, we spend money so many times. Like in my case, at least 15 to 20 times, my card is used both online and offline. Over the dirty notes we don't have to handle. You do all these transactions and pay at a time once in a month. Again, through net banking, you don't have to go anywhere. I find it very convenient. I've been using credit card for 20 years by the grace of God. No untoward thing has happened. So you can always consider having a credit card if you don't have. And buying online today, it has become a great boom. Right from refrigerator, washing machine to karvapila in the house, we totally depend on online, and it's all delivered at your doorstep. And it is much cheaper than going to the nearby kirana shops. And the return policy is so good. We have returned major appliances after using it, and it has been taken without any fuss by the concerned company. Only thing, I suggest you confine yourself to Amazon, Flipkart, big names, because our reputational risk, they will go any extent to give good customer service. This is from our own experience by my family. I can suggest that you should learn to take good offers, and that you will find at least 3 to 4 times a year they'll come with some big sale, big $1 billion sale, some New Year sale, this sale. And that time they will also give additional discount for certain credit cards. Like now, Amazon is offering 10% discount on SBI credit cards. So in many ways, it will help to have a credit card as well as buying online. Whether you should take loans, advances. This is careful. If your employer, you company loan, definitely concessional, you can take always. If you are a PF subscriber in the organization where you work, you can also take PF loan for many purposes like housing, marriage, and children's education and medical. PF you can take, which is not expensive. Whereas நீங்க பேங்க்ல போய் லோன் எடுத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா அல்லது மற்ற financiers loan are far too expensive for people like us. So I suggest you don't fall into the debt trap, because once we take such loans, then it becomes a kind of a trap. So we should never get into that trap. So I have a general rule for you. நீங்க வந்து loan எடுக்கலாம் எதுக்குன்னா to buy an appreciating asset, not for a depreciating asset or for consumption purpose. Abdina enna, I brought a technical term, but that's very simple. Depreciating asset on the example, buying a laptop, buying a television, or even buying a car. Because for car வாங்குனீங்கன்னா அது ஷோரூம்ல இருந்து வெளியே வந்த உடனே அதுக்கு ஒரு 25% போயிடும். ஒரு 1 year யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா you will not be able to sell beyond 60% of the price with which you purchase. That means the asset is depreciating very fast. For such assets, it is advisable not to take loan. Whereas on the other hand, you buy a land or a house which is likely to appreciate in value over a period of time. The educational loan you give to your children, it will definitely mean a value in the years to come for your children. So that is to some extent permissible. There are people, executives who are selling these EMI products to ignorant and innocent individuals. You should not fall into the trap, except for home loans. And even if you decide to take a home loan, go to major banks like State Bank of India. They will give the best rate of interest for home loans. There is certain quick tips for your convenience, for your remembrance. You can keep it in mind. And a recurring deposit with auto debit will ensure you bank application fill up every month 500 rupees from your SB account. They will immediately agree to that. It will ensure compulsory savings. And another suggestion is you must have some emergency money for meeting any contingency. Avoid rash and impulsive decisions. This you have to be very careful. As a matter of habit, you should never do that. Taking financial decisions impulsively should not be the case. And today, what is happening, I find first year birthday for the baby, for the child, it makes they make as big as a marriage function today. People take loans to celebrate their first birthday of their child. I think we Christians cannot afford to do that. We should not be spending money in such matters. We should be thanking God for enabling the child to see the first year, not for showing off. Never show off your spending power, and don't co-sign or give guarantee to anybody, because he may be known to you. He will say, நீங்க வந்து எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் கேரண்டி கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா எங்க பேங்க்ல லோன் தரேன்றாங்கன்னு சொன்னாங்கன்னா நீதிமொழிகளிலே போட்டிருக்கு நம்ம அந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் கேரண்டரா இருக்க வேண்டாம் அப்படின்னு. So I will suggest don't do that. And avoid purchase of car. அது என்னுடைய personal experience. I didn't buy a car till I became general manager of Reserve Bank. ஏன்னு கேட்டா எனக்கு கீழே இருந்த எல்லார்ட்டையும் கார் இருந்துச்சு, நான் மட்டும் கார் இல்லாம இருந்தேன். அது வரைக்கும் நான் கார் வாங்கல. Till my age of 47, I didn't buy car. Though I had become deputy general manager, then only bought, and I bought only once car. And even if it is necessary for you because of your profession, I suggest you buy a used one. That will help you to keep your loan amount small, and you will be able to get out. I think I will quickly go over to the next slide, because this is about income tax applicable only to those whose income is more than 6 lakh in a year. So unga income வந்து ஒரு மாசத்துக்கு 50,000 கீழ இருந்தா income tax you don't have to pay. So I will not spend time on this. I have a few points about investment. இன்னைக்கு நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்னா நம்ம என்னன்னு நமக்கு புரியறது இல்ல. ஒரு பெரிய வேர்டு, it's not for us அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறோம். Though it is different from savings, it's not gambling, and it is only as risky as you want it to be. So we can decide our investment, plan our investment without much risk also in those products. At the same time, you should not think investment is a get rich quick formula. It is not that kind of a thing. As a kind of a suggestion, if you have a provident fund and if you are working in a company or an organization, as I told you, they will be deducting 12% compulsorily from your basic pay as PF, which goes into your PF account. What you can do is, you can decide to subscribe another 5% of your basic pay, and that will also go into your PF account. All that you need to do is to give a letter to your salary section saying, please deduct another 5% as additional PF contribution every month from my account. ஏன்னா இன்னைக்கு annual interest வந்து 8.65 last year. That's what the government paid on PF balance. Nowhere, no bank is giving anywhere near 8%. Because நீங்க பேங்க்ல இன்னைக்கு FD போட்டீங்கன்னா State Bank of India gives 5%, HDFC banks gives only 5%. Whereas PF contribution gets more than 8%. So that is one of my suggestion. இப்போ இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்கீம் ரொம்ப வர்றதில்ல. ஒரு காலத்துல டபுள் யுவர் மணி இன் 5 years, 8 years, அது இது நிறைய வந்துச்சு. அந்த மாதிரி யாராவது சொன்னாங்கன்னா தயவு செய்து ப்ளீஸ் run away. Don't agree for that. ஏன்னா இன்னைக்கு இந்தியாவில் மேக்ஸிமம் 7.5 to 8% மேல யாராலையும் பே பண்ண முடியாது on any savings, on any product. So you please keep away from all such attractive. They will have very smooth talking agents. We should not fall to their solicitation. Don't go by the advertisement. You have to do your own research before you invest. So the simple rule is, don't purchase any financial product that you don't fully understand. And the fine print லாம் வாசிக்க நமக்கு டைம் கிடையாது. So sometimes we just sign on the dotted lines. Please don't do that. நமக்கு புரியல அந்த ப்ராடக்ட், அந்த whoever is canvassing for that product உங்களுக்கு புரியலன்னா தயவு செய்து don't accept that product. Investment definition என்னன்னா conversion of savings into assets. அதுதான் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட். நத்திங் கிரேட் அபவுட் இட். தேர் ஆர் டூ டைப்ஸ் ஆஃப் அசெட்ஸ். ஒன்னு வந்து ரியல் அசெட்ஸ், இன்னொன்னு வி கால் இட் ஃபைனான்சியல் அசெட்ஸ். ரியல் அசெட்ஸ் என்னது? லேண்ட் அண்ட் ஹவுஸ் அண்ட் ஃபிளாட். இது வந்து இம்மூவபிள் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி. இது ஒரு ரியல் அசெட். அடுத்த இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ரியல் அசெட் அஸ் ஃபார் இந்த இந்தியன் கான்டெக்ஸ்ட் இஸ் கோல்டு. ஃபைனான்சியல் அசெட்ஸ்னா fixed deposits with banks, mutual funds, unit linked insurance plans, bonds from public sector companies. sovereign gold bonds. The sovereign gold bonds is though financial asset, the underlying is gold. So it's actually a good mix of financial and real asset, and then debentures, shares, etc. So I suggest you have a good mix of some real assets, or maybe one house, some gold if you have a daughter, and the rest you can have a spread of financial assets, some bank fixed deposits, ULIP and all you can consider. இன்னைக்கு வந்து house வாங்குறதோ, land வாங்குறதோ, gold வாங்குறதோ as a matter of investment, I will not suggest, because it is not appreciating the way it appreciated in the last 20 years. It has become stable. If you real estate price, last 8 years, there has been no increase. So I will suggest that don't do it as a matter of investment, but the gold you can always buy for that purpose. One slide about insurance. You will find agents coming to you suggesting that you must take life insurance or general insurance, health insurance. Vehicle insurance, of course, it is compulsory. You have to take third-party vehicle insurance. That's a must. But in all other cases, you have to take a decision. Simple policy, simple principle, take insurance only if you need. That is, in case the insurance policy holder dies, the family will be in dire straits. They will not be able to manage without the sole breadwinner. Appadi oru context irukumana, then you can consider taking a life insurance. Not because there is a persistent agent coming after you to take a policy. Just to get rid of him, people take policy, and many people regret that decision. Carefully, you have to be. It's not an investment. Insurance is not an investment at all. And you must remember, the agents generally push those financial products which give them the biggest margin. அவங்களுக்கு எதுல நிறைய கமிஷன் கிடைக்கோ அதைத்தான் புஷ் பண்ணுவாங்க. உங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப உங்க மேல they are so concerned about youன்ற மாதிரி தான் பேசுவாங்க. But don't get carried away. This you have to be very careful whether you really need insurance, whether it is life or health. And health insurance has not stabilized in India. Therefore, the premium is still very high, and there are too many restrictive conditions. If there is a group insurance in your organization or in your company, excellent, but not as an individual. Sorry. Now we have problems against banks. Manager, they don't respond to our requests. There are complaints against banks. Are we helpless? No. If you go to the website of any bank, you will find the email ID of the grievance redressal officer in the head office of the bank. All that is required is you send an email to that person, because the email ID will be available. Avoid phones, because normally phones they don't take, but emails they have to reply, because that gets documented. It gets recorded in their system. So I suggest that you approach the grievance redressal officer. So reply varlana. Today we have ombudsman, banking ombudsman, insurance ombudsman, ella state la irukanga. I was myself a banking ombudsman for the state of Kerala for 3 years. So I know many individuals come to the banking ombudsman with their complaints, and we sort it out for them. We address their complaints. So in Chennai also, in the Chennai Reserve Bank, there is an ombudsman. You can always approach just through an email. Nothing, you don't have to personally go anywhere. So for banks and non-banking finance companies, Reserve Bank of India has ombudsman. For insurance companies, there is an insurance ombudsman, and for mutual funds, SEBI, to which you can always approach. Now we come to the core area of family finance. What is the common cause of marital discord or conflict? நீங்க ஒரு சர்வே எடுத்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, husband and wife குள்ள எதனால தகராறு வருதுன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, it will be essentially due to money. This is a famous song by ABBA in the 70s, which is very true. Therefore, we need to, as Christians, we need to carefully look at this area, how we can avoid friction in the area of family finance. This is something basic. Man, as compared to woman, is more analytical. He can crunch data. He makes informed decisions. He collects information and then he takes decision. But in the case of woman, she has an additional quality. She has an additional grace or talent, which is called intuition. What is that? It is the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. As a man, you would have done a lot of research and say, I'm going to do this. The wife will just say, no, don't do that. I don't think it is the right decision for us. It may not be the right person, right investment, right partnership. சொன்னாங்கன்னா, you don't just discard it, say, உனக்கு என்ன தெரியும், எனக்கு தான் எல்லாம் தெரியும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கவே கூடாது. Because God has endowed our wives with this particular quality, which is very valuable as a family. அதையும் நம்ம we should not disregard. அதனால என்ன பண்ணணும்னா, you bring all your data and your facts and let the woman has his say, and you together kneel down in the presence of God and decide by consensus, and that will be the best decision for you. Some more family basics. As soon as you get married, all your individual accounts should be changed to joint accounts. You should not have any account in your own name. நான் தானே earn பண்றேன், அதே wife பேர் அதுல இருக்கணும்னு நினைக்கவே கூடாது. Yeah, because you took a pledge in the presence of God and people that I will share everything with your spouse, இல்லையா? So make, ஒருவேளை அப்படி ஜாயிண்ட் அக்கௌண்ட் பண்ண முடியல, லாட் ஆஃப் ஃபார்மாலிட்டிஸ், கேஒய்சி கேட்கறாங்க, அது கேட்கறாங்க அப்படின்னா, அட்லீஸ்ட் மேக் யுவர் ஸ்பௌஸ் த சோல் நாமினி 100%. எப்படின்னா, பொதுவா நம்ம கல்யாணம் ஆகிற வரைக்கும் ஃபாதர் ஆர் மதர் வில் பி அவர் நாமினி இன் அவர் ப்ராவிடன்ட் ஃபண்ட் ஆர் இன் அவர் பேங்க் அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ். பட் த மோமெண்ட் யூ கெட் மேரிட், யூ மேக் இட் அ பாயிண்ட், சேஞ்ச் இட் ஃப்ரம் யுவர் பேரண்ட்ஸ் டு ஸ்பௌஸ், பிகாஸ் தட் இஸ் வாட் யூ ஆர் பிளெட்ஜ்ட். தாயும் தகப்பனையும் விட்டு மனைவியோடு இசைந்திருக்கணும், சரியா? And discuss and take financial decisions together. எல்லாமே நீங்க ரெண்டு பேருமே டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணாம இண்டிவிஜுவலா யூனிலேட்டரலா டிசிஷன்ஸ் எடுக்கவே கூடாது. You will land in trouble. அப்புறம் whatever you earn, உங்க இன்கம் should be shared with your spouse. At the same time, நீங்க என்ன செலவழிச்சாலும், very very small minor expense, okay, but all your expenses your wife should know, your spouse should know. There should be total transparency between husband and wife in financial matters. இது வந்து ஒரு ticklish issue. பேரண்ட்ஸுக்கு ஃபைனான்சியலா ஹெல்ப் பண்றது, நான் நினைக்கலாம், நான் மட்டும்தான் எங்க வீட்டுல ஒர்க் பண்றேன், என் ஒய்ஃப் ஏர்ன் பண்ணல, என்னை படிக்க வச்சதே எங்க அப்பா தான், அதனால நான் எங்க அப்பாவுக்கு மாசம் மாசம் பணம் அனுப்புவேன், இட்ஸ் none of my wife's business அப்படின்னு நினைக்கவே கூடாது. We should never say that, because all that we have now we have to share only with wife. So we need to mutually decide. ரெண்டு பேருமா சேர்ந்து தான் டிசைட் பண்ணி ஹெல்ப் பண்ணணும். That will definitely go a long way in avoiding marital conflicts. சரி, சேவிங்ஸ் கட்டாயம் வேணும். If you are a young family with children or children on the way, or you have children to grow, then these purposes for which you need to save money apart from your provident fund. Kids education has become very costly, as you know, and kids marriage, நீங்க நினைக்கலாம் பாய்ஸ் தான் எனக்கு அதனால மேரேஜ் எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ்லாம் வராதுன்னு. டோன்ட் திங்க் லைக் தட், பிகாஸ் ஐ எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் today there's no difference between girls and boys. You should be ready to spend money for marriage of your sons also, and unexpected contingencies will happen. But the last point I want to emphasize, we also need to save to leave our footprints on this sands of time in God's glory. I have put that Henry Longfellow's poem there. He says, when we depart, we have to leave behind footprints on the sands of time. For example, if you can save some money, you can think of starting an orphanage, a small clinic, a hospital, or an old age home. There are so many ways we can help the poor, the people, and which we do it for the glory of God. So our savings should be in that direction. For that purpose also, you can think of saving money by living in a simple way. So in the process, we come to a very important rule. I call it the golden rule. As the standard of living should not go up when income increases. Normally என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னா, நம்ம as we go up in our career progression takes place, our incomes increase, accordingly our lifestyle also goes up. We begin to spend money for which we were not spending earlier. We need to be very careful as Christians. It applies not to the worldly people, but to believers and for Christians. This has to be the rule. We have to continue our simple lifestyle. Therefore, what do we do when incomes rise? Increase your giving. You give more. And if necessary, you save more, but not increase your standard of living. And be careful to invest in education, health, and in relationships. Like, for example, health, when I say you buy nutritious food, like dry fruits and things like that, and spend money on your children's education, acquiring new skills, relationships. You attend a marriage or a party invited by your close relatives. Spend money in giving such gifts when you go to your family functions. That is a kind of an investment. At the same time, be prepared for sudden life changes. How? By living within our means, so that when that happens, in case there is a calamity or a problem comes, we will have some thing to fall back to meet that crisis. Now we come to what the Bible says about money. You will be surprised to know 500 verses இருக்கு பைபிள்ல about prayer or about faith. ஆனா about money and wealth and riches, you will find 1600 verses in the Bible. Why I'm saying this? In the sight of God also, it's a very important subject. That is why I started in the beginning saying, as stewards, as money managers on behalf of God, we need to know how to handle money. We need to do it prudently, diligently, so that whatever money God gives to us, whatever God has given, it should be used diligently and optimally, productively for the glory of God. So what does the Bible teach we need to start? சொல்லவே வேண்டியதில்லை, உங்களை எல்லாருக்கும் தெரிஞ்சது. We have to have a minimum of 10%. Though it is not taught in the New Testament, it is the bare minimum to start with for any Christian who has accepted Christ as his savior. And many people give 10% of their take-home salary, the net salary after all the deductions. That is after Provident Fund, after income tax and other deductions. No. First, God is preeminent in our lives. Therefore, before even the Provident Fund or a tax fellow takes money from us, we should give on our gross salary, and all the incomes we receive, minimum 10% we have to keep aside. Some churches teach that the entire tithe should be given to the local church. I am not for that. Bible doesn't teach that. You can always, whatever money you set aside, which could be tithe or more than that, can be given to the church, to para-church organizations, to missions, and to charity also. There is nothing wrong with that. Suppose you are in debts, கடன் இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கீங்க. The best way to come, camera on, right? Best way to get out of debt is faithfully give to God and see that God helps you to come out of your indebtedness. ஏன்னா இது ஏன் சொல்றேன்னா, என்னுடைய parents, as I told you, when we were studying, they borrowed heavily. We were all four studied PG up to post graduation, and in the process they got into debts, and they were not able to come out. Then somebody suggested you start giving tithe, start giving to God. They found it very difficult initially, but as they began to give tithe, they got out of all their debts. So this I thought I'll share with you so that you can also do that. And the Bible is extremely has in so many places tell about giving to the poor. Right from the Old Testament, from Exodus onwards till the New Testament epistles, you will find God is so particular about our giving to the poor. So Moses says in Deuteronomy, open your hand to the poor and your needy neighbor in your land. And we live in a country where we are surrounded by poor people. And this pandemic has, many people have lost their livelihood and struggling. If only we can open our eyes and see, you will find many people are suffering for want of money and resources. So Psalm 41:1 says, blessed are those who consider the poor. சிந்தையா இருக்கிறவன் என்று சொல்லப்பட்டு, சிறுமைப்பட்டவன் மேல் சிந்தையா இருக்கிறவன் பாக்கியவான். Those who oppress the poor insult their maker, but those who are kind to the needy honor him. So even if we are not very rich, even if we are only average money, God expects us to be kind to the poor, kind to the needy. By doing that, we are honoring God himself. Our God is a God of the poor. He identifies himself with the poor. So whatever you do to the poor, you do to God. That's what the Bible says. So ஏழைக்கு கடன் கொடுக்கிறவன் கர்த்தருக்கு கடன் கொடுக்கிறான். அதுதான் Proverbs 19:17. and the Lord will repay it in full. And then I used to think, if State Bank of India gives only 5% for your deposit, I'm sure the Lord will give much more interest than that. He is no man's debtor. So let us be generous with the poor. And this is a warning. This verse is a warning. நீதிமொழிகள் 21:13. If you close your ear to the cry of the poor, when you cry out, you will not be heard. ஏழை கூப்பிடும் பொழுது உன் காதை அடைத்துக் கொண்டால் நீ கூப்பிடும் பொழுதும் ஆண்டவர் கேட்க முடியாது. This is what the Bible says. So we need to be sensitive to the needs of the poor around us. Again, Proverbs 28:27. Whoever gives to the poor will lack nothing. What a sweeping promise God has given. Whoever gives to the poor will lack nothing. And in the Gospel of Luke, you will find so many exhortations to give to the poor, to be generous to the poor. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. லூக்கா 12:33. உங்களுக்கு உள்ளதை விற்று தரித்திரருக்கு கொடுங்கள். அப்படிதான் சொல்லியிருக்கு லூக்கா 12:33. ஆண்டவர் என்ன சொல்றாரு? ஒருவன் என்னில் அன்பாய் இருந்தால் என் கற்பனைகளை கை கொள்ளுவான். யோவான் 14:அதிகாரத்தில் சொல்லியிருக்காருல்ல. Now, how many of us have obeyed this command? உன்னிடத்தில் உள்ளதை விற்று தரித்திரருக்கு கொடு. Have you sold any of your assets for the sake of giving to the poor? நம்ம பண்ணல, நான் பண்ணல. ஆனா கர்த்தர் சொல்லியிருக்காரு, ஆண்டவர் சொல்லியிருக்காரு, நம்ம செய்யணும்னு சொல்லியிருக்காரு. நம்ம அவர்கிட்ட அன்பா இருக்கிறோம்னு சொல்றோம். ஆனா if it is true that we love him, we have to obey his command, and this is one of his command. How many of us have obeyed this? When you give a banquet, a party, when you throw a party, do we specifically invite the poor? சகேயு அவன் ஆண்டவர் ரட்சிப்பு வந்ததுன்னு எப்ப சொன்னார்னா, he came down from the tree and he stood in front of people and in front of his house and said, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. Then and there, he didn't say I'll give half of my possessions to my children. He said my property I will give to the poor. அது சொன்னதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் ஆண்டவர் சொன்னார், இந்த வீட்டுக்கு ரட்சிப்பு வந்தது, இவனும் ஆபிரகாமின் பிள்ளையா இருக்கிறானே என்று சொன்னார். And the Lord appreciated this poor widow who put 2 small coins. Yeah, because that is all she had. காலையில ஒருவேளை ஆண்டவர் சினகாக்ல இருக்கும் பொழுது this thing would have happened. This widow would have come and put all the money she had. If you see it in a worldly way, what she should do for her lunch? Because she has put all the money, she will go without food for lunch. But the Lord never said anything about that. Lord appreciated this poor widow for giving all that she had. This, as an example, this has been written for us. Cornelius, he was a Gentile, but his gifts to the poor were remembered in the sight of God, so much so God sent Peter the apostle to his house to preach. He didn't have to go anywhere. Because he remembered the poor and gave gifts to the poor, God sent Apostle Peter to his house, and all of them received the Holy Spirit when Peter began to preach in their house. அப்போஸ்தலர் 10:அதிகாரத்துல நம்ம அதை குறித்து வாசிக்கிறோம். இந்த வசனமும் அப்போஸ்தலர்ல எழுதப்பட்டிருக்கு. இது ஆண்டவராய் இயேசு கிறிஸ்து சொன்னதாக அப்போஸ்தலர்ல எழுதப்பட்டிருக்கு. It is more blessed to give than to receive. வாங்குறதை பார்க்கிலும் கொடுக்கிறதே பாக்கியம் என்று சொல்லப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. Okay, love of money. 3 different authors in the Bible. பவுல் அப்போஸ்தலன், அப்புறம் சாலமோன், பிரசங்கி எழுதின எக்லசியாஸ்டிஸ் எழுதின சாலமன், and Hebrew, the writer to the Hebrews. You don't know who wrote Hebrews. இந்த 3 இடத்துலயும் the love of money குறித்து நமக்கு ஒரு வார்னிங் இருக்கு. Because the love of money and the desire to get rich will lead to grief, ruin and destruction. 1 Timothy 6:9 and 10. Ecclesiastes 5:10 says, whoever loves money never has enough, never satisfied with their income. Keep your lives free from love of money and be content with what you have. எபிரேயர் 13:5. கடைசியா நான் சொல்ல வேண்டியது என்னன்னா, பொருளாசை நம்ம கொஞ்சம் ஜாக்கிரதையா இருக்கணும். We need to shun greed. நீதிமொழிகள் 15:27 சொல்லுகிறது, பொருளாசைக்காரன் தன்னுடைய வீட்டை கலைக்கிறான். The greedy bring ruin to their families. இது the series of talks is about family. So I thought I will end this presentation on a particular verse, which is a warning for us. நம்ம வீட்டுல நம்ம குடும்பத்துல ஒரு மனுஷன் பொருளாசைக்காரன் இருப்பானால் அவர் அந்த வீட்டை கலைக்கிறான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நீதிமொழிகள் 15:27. So we need to be very careful about this. I have spoken so much about finance, but the love of money and பொருளாசை, இதுக்கு நம்ம ஜாக்கிரதையா விலகி இருக்கும் பொழுது கர்த்தர் கட்டாயம் நம்மையும் நம்ம குடும்பங்களையும் ஆசீர்வதிப்பார். சௌந்தரன் சொன்ன மாதிரி I have put my email ID. I work for the Skadar Memorial Hospital at Ranipet, Tamil Nadu. You are welcome to get in touch with me for any specific doubt or question or clarification. I will be only too happy. Thank you.
Thanks, Franklin. Thank you. Mr. Madan Singh, you can take it. Brother Madan Singh, proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Franklin Joseph. It was very simple and very much revealing in many areas. We thank you for that.